Hi, I'm going to show you how quick, easy, tasty and cheap it is to introduce fermented vegetables into your diet. So the benefits of fermented vegetables really relate to the probiotics that they contain. So you can buy probiotics from the chemist, but really they're not as good as creating your own in fermented foods. And probiotics are great because even if you have the healthiest diet in the world, the chances are that you're not absorbing all the nutrients in your diet because you don't have sufficient good bacteria in your food. And that's what probiotics are doing. They're introducing really good, friendly bacteria into your diet. So how easy is it? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a twist on the traditional kimchi recipe. So kimchi is a Korean recipe, fermented cabbage, and it's the kimchi refers to the Korean spice, so it's a spicy chili flavour. Because I'm living here in Indonesia, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with that, and it's not really going to be Korean, well, it's not at all going to be Korean spice, it's going to be Indonesian spice. So that's a twist on it. So first of all, we'll just look at the basics of it. How do you start off the fermentation process? Well, what I should say first of all is that we're trying to introduce good bacteria into our diet, not bad ones. So make sure that everything's clean, your hands, your utensils, everything's clean. I've not yet washed my cabbage because I'm going to cut it up first, but everything else, all the utensils are really clean, so just make sure you do that. And the other thing that I should say is, although it's all right just to, say, use a metal colander or a metal knife at this stage, when you're actually fermented, avoid using a metal bowl because the metal can interfere with the fermentation process. And the other thing that can interfere with the fermentation process is added iodine to your salt. So make sure that you have a salt that doesn't have iodine added. Okay. So just to start off with, we're going to look at our cabbage. Now I'm using an Asian cabbage. It's not a very dense cabbage, which means that I don't have to cut the hard bits out of the middle. But if you're using the type of cabbage that you routinely would get in, say, England, there's a really hard core. You might need to chop that bit out because it's not going to taste very nice once it's fermented. But this one is pretty soft. And so we can pretty much use all of the cabbage. So just to show you, for this one, I'm going to cut off the end and then cut it in half. And then after that, I just want sort of 2-inch pieces. So I'm going to cut the whole cabbage, 2-inch pieces. Doesn't really matter, but reasonably big chunks. And then once I've finished cutting this, obviously I'm going to wash it. I've got another one that I'm going to do the same thing to. And then we'll take it to the next stage, which is adding the salty solution. Okay, so that's one done. So I'll just pop that in the colander, just to say wash it, do the other one, and then we'll start the salty solution. Okay. Hi, okay, so the boring bit's done. I've washed the cabbage, and here it is in 2-inch chunks. I've put it into a plastic container that looks a bit like a nappy pail, but that's just to show you that you don't really need any fancy equipment to do the fermentation. You can get crock pots that are specially designed utensils, but you don't need them. This will work just as well. What you do need is something that you can put, obviously, your cabbage in. You need enough room to put your salty solution in, and then you need something that's going to press down, so keep your cabbage submerged in the water. So there we have it. There's our cabbage, and we're going to make the salty solution. So as I say, I've got 2 Asian cabbages in there, and to a certain extent, it depends how big your cabbages are and all sorts, how much water you're going to need. But I'd guess I'm going to need at least 1 litre of water and probably about 3/4 of a cup of salt. Okay, so just put the salt in, make up our solution. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the salt solution, pour the salt solution over and just give it a quick massage see if I've got enough water and then add more water if I need to. So here we go. So yeah, give it a quick massage. It does look as if I'm going to need more water. At least, I'd say at least half a litre more. So let's go. I've got another half a litre here. Let's see how that goes. Okay. Actually, I'm going to need even more. So these are quite big cabbages, and I'm going to need, so in the end, I'm going to end up with about 2 litres of water and 3/4 of a cup of salt. And again, just to avoid boring you to death, I'll put that extra half a litre in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this weighted down to keep my cabbage submerged. So I'm going to create about 1 inch of water above the cabbage with this plate pressed down and a weight on the top like this to keep my cabbage submerged. And I'm going to keep it like that for, well, you can keep it like that for between 2 and 12 hours. For me, I'm going to keep it like that for 2 to 3 hours, and then I'm going to add the spice. So a little bit more water, and then I'm going to keep it submerged for 2 to 3 hours. Okay, and the next bit is the exciting bit because, well, I'll tell you later. Okay, so as I said, this is the really exciting bit, and we have a guest chef here, Ibu Ketut, to show us how to make proper Indonesian spices. But first, in relation to the cabbage has now been washed. So we've washed all the salt from the cabbage, and what we're going to add are the authentic Indonesian spices, and that's what Ibu Ketut is helping us with. So she has added most of these, well, some of these things you won't be able to buy in Europe, but most of them you can. We're using chilies, I have washed my hands. We're using chilies like this. There's about 4 of those. We're using shallots, which you can get in the UK. There's about 5 or 6 of those. We're using about 1 inch of turmeric, which you can get in the UK, 1 inch of ginger, which you can get in the UK. She's also added in an aromatic ginger, which I haven't seen in the UK, so that may be more difficult, and also 2 candle nuts. So there's a couple of things. Oh, and the other thing is ginger. There's about 6 or 7 cloves of ginger there. So this is it. This is the authentic Indonesian spice, and most of it you should be able to get in the UK, so you should be able to replicate it. And what she's going to do, she's going to blend it up with a little bit of coconut oil. Yeah. Okay, so we'll stick it in here. And this is not a high-powered blender, it's just a really average blender. I forgot the lemongrass. There's 2 stalks of lemongrass in there as well. But I'll put all the ingredients up so you won't miss anything. Okay, so she's just going to blend it to give us the spice. So I'll switch off while doing that because it's super noisy. Okay, if it looks like it's baking hot, that's because it is. We're both absolutely sweating. But we've got our cabbage here, which, as I say, has been rinsed and drained. And Ketut has done this lovely Indonesian spice for me. So we're going to take about 2 dessert spoons of the spice, and we're going to add in about 1/4 of a cup of ginger juice. And then we're going to add some vegetables. Right? Traditionally, with the kimchi, you use radishes and carrots, but I didn't have very many carrots or radishes, so I've added a couple of peppers. So I've got here 2 red peppers, a carrot, and 2 or 3 radishes. So I'm going to add it all in, and then I'm just going to mix it up. So the next thing that we'll need to keep an eye on is how much liquid there is, because you need to have a fair bit of liquid to keep the cabbage submerged. So, oh, this smells so good. You're going to like this. I know you don't like a lot of the stuff that I do, but you are going to like this. It does smell incredibly good. Okay. Yeah, lovely. So we're going to stick it in a jar to ferment. So, as I said before, anything with metal in it could cause a problem. So we've got a plastic bowl, and I'm just going to stick the vegetable mixture in there. And there is actually a bit of liquid at the bottom, but you do need to keep it submerged, so we're probably going to have to add another bit of liquid. So here we go. Let's have a look, see how it goes. So there we go, that's our nappy bowl empty, all the liquid in, and let's press it down and see what it's like. Now actually, it's actually not too bad. When you press it down like that, the liquid comes over the top, and that's what you need. You need a bit of liquid to come over the top to make sure that your vegetables don't go mouldy. So as long as you've got about 1 inch, and I have when I push it really far down, that's it. So I'm going to have to find something to keep this vegetable mixture submerged so that it ferments. And I'm not going to bore you with all of my attempts to find out what it is that's going to work. But something will work, and I'll keep the vegetable mixture submerged. Probably here, because it's too hot, maybe 2 or 3 days. And what you need to do is taste it to see what it's like after 2 or 3 days. And then, yeah, just play it by ear, and I will come back and report how my lovely Indonesian kimchi has worked out. Meanwhile, I'll struggle trying to find something. Okay, bye, Kitut.
Bye.
Okay, we're back 3 days on, and the fermentation process should have worked by now because it is really hot here. In a lot of other climates, you're going to need to leave it for at least 5 days, but I think 3 days should be enough in this climate. So we're going to have a taste test. And you've got to bear in mind that Kitut doesn't like most of the stuff that I eat, so let's just see how it goes. I should actually say as well that the way that I kept the cabbage below the level of the liquid in here was to put a glass in, so I just shoved a glass in sideways, and that kept the cabbage submerged and the liquid on top. And also when I put this plastic top on, what I found was that it wasn't airtight, so I just put sellotape around it. So again, just emphasising that you don't need any specialist equipment. So here we go, moment of truth. We'll just take some of our kimchi out and give Kitut, the expert, the opportunity to have a taste and see what she thinks. Okay, Kitut, what do you reckon?
Yes.
Good. Honestly. She would have no hesitation telling me if she thought it was rank. So yeah, it's pretty good, I think. Yeah, for me, I absolutely love the spices. So that is a big thumbs up for Indonesian kimchi. And this is the chef, the spice chef. Okay, bye.